Well, howdy doody folks, welcome back. You know what, I always try to find exciting films to bring to your attention, and today's going to be a fun video if you're a fan of slasher films, because when it's Halloween and you hear the name Eli Roth, potentially that's a damn good reason to get excited, I would say. So we have a Sony Pictures horror movie named Thanksgiving, arriving on November the 17th. The film stars Patrick Dempsey from Grey's Anatomy and Addison Rae, best known for her singing and dancing talents on TikTok, as well as the Netflix film He's All That. The movie is directed by Eli Roth and co-written by Eli as well as Jeff Rendell. Thanksgiving will be subject to an exclusive theatrical run before heading to streaming, just so you know. So, Thanksgiving is a movie that has been many years in the making, you could argue, ever since we first glimpsed a primitive version of the same film in the form of a fake trailer, which was used within the 2007 double feature Grindhouse. Remember that? Death Proof plus Planet Terror. Wow, that takes me back. It had crazy action scenes, over-the-top blood and gore, and a huge mix of well-known as well as A-list actors and directors involved in making these two films. Names like Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, Kurt Russell, Josh Brolin, Bruce Willis, and the list goes on. But here we are many years later, and Eli Roth has made quite the name for himself with numerous successful directing, producing, writing and acting credits to his name. So clearly Eli felt the time was right to give us Thanksgiving, and thank God for Thanksgiving, because this looks like a horror movie you do not want to miss, unless you're particularly squeamish of course. There was this one part of the trailer that almost got me. It was when the lady decided to use a Q-tip to clean her ears. Why this is one of my biggest fears I couldn't tell you, but just the thought of someone forcing it in made me shudder. Luckily the killer decided to use cornucopia instead. Anyways, if you've seen the trailer then you know this film isn't going to hold back. Expect the worst and be ready for a high number of grisly deaths. The film takes place in a town called Plymouth in Massachusetts, where we see some kind of tragedy during a Black Friday sale. I mean, isn't there always, right? Why get trampled when you can order online is my useful tip. However, it's revealed that the riot was ultimately deemed an accident according to the police. But if we look at the sheer amount of newspaper cutouts posted on this very sinister looking pinboard, are we led to believe the killer is fueled by revenge perhaps? Maybe he was a disgruntled employee at Rightmark when it all went down? If the Black Friday riots are unrelated, then maybe the reason has more to do with the festivities and tradition of Thanksgiving itself. As the killer himself is dressed up like a pilgrim, then possibly we could be looking at a more fanatical perspective of the tradition that may also relate to the history of the town itself. The Plymouth colony in the 1620s was historically a landing point for pilgrims where they would feast for 3 days annually with many other cultures from around the world, and I believe this was the origin of the holiday. So the killer, who is aptly named John Carver, either he's following some dark, secretive and occult variation of the holiday season, or he's just a maniac. He does appear in the trailer at least to be working alone, so top marks to this individual as he is the hunter-gatherer as well as the chef, and I gotta say, apart from the kidnapped lady lying on the dinner table, the rest of the food looks pretty delicious. As the trailer gets going, we learn that a group of friends have all been tagged or targeted on social media in the form of an invite to a particular Thanksgiving feast, the Killer's Feast. So why these people that all know each other? Why this group of friends? In the tradition of the Scream anthology, will this be another case of Guess Who is the Killer perhaps? How this relates to the Black Friday riots, I have no idea and we'll just have to wait and see. I was never a big fan of the Scream films, so I'm honestly not sure how I feel about a killer potentially being one of the gang, so to speak. I kind of prefer my protagonist to have some aura of mystery about them, whether it be their identity or reasons for killing. So hopefully it's not a clone copy of Scream where the killer has a seemingly normal life but just decides one day to mass murder all their friends for shits and giggles. I think I'd prefer it if the pilgrim was somebody they knew who had died during the riots and then through some dark magic or unknown power was able to return for bloody vengeance. This is the stuff of nightmares and more a direction I could appreciate. And so the trailer ends with a very dark and disturbing conclusion for one of the ladies as we see her locked inside a see-through oven, which is truly horrific of course, but I don't know what's worse, the diabolical and torturous deaths or the fact that I'm dying to see this film. But the small details can make a movie great, and I love the fact that the pilgrim is using weapons that are all, as the detectives say, straight off the Thanksgiving table. Clearly this dude has a love and dedication for the holiday season like no other. So I think it's pretty safe to say that this film isn't going to break any major new ground, and in the true fashion of any self-respecting slasher feature, we probably aren't going to feel any deep connection to any characters either. But at its core, it does seem like it may be able to deliver on a couple of promises that definitely have me excited. Mainly the promise of brutally innovative kills. I mean, seriously, Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees should be turning in their graves right now when witnessing some of these killing methods, if they even have graves, that is. Either John Carver has been planning this year's festivities for some time, or he's just very gifted. I don't know, but dousing someone in a tub of water and then slamming them into the inside of a cold storage door is nothing but genius and just pure art form in the world of serial killers, I'd say. But I really hope we don't get too much cheese, you know? I don't mind the clever and witty humour that comes as a byproduct of quirky character personalities, but please don't include that cliched slapstick cheesy comedy that many other movies within the same genre are sometimes riddled with. I can't see Thanksgiving sharing the same level of hardcore tone that a film like The First Chainsaw Massacre had in 1974, but if the movie shares the same qualities as the trailer, then I'm mostly in it for the inventive kills and gore fest. So it looks like a lot of fun, but probably isn't going to scare me that much. So what about you guys? Does this one excite you, or are you feeling you've seen this film 100 times before perhaps? Let me know in the comments, and remember it's coming November the 17th to cinemas before streaming if you did want to check it out. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Stay entertained.